I was living in Grafton. We lived on the side of a bluff, and Grafton was a small town, like 800 people. And between there and the state park, about three miles upstream, on the Illinois River, well, it was forested just like it is here, and it was squirrel and deer heaven. So one day in November, I got up, had to get out, for some reason I had to get out to the fuel station real early in the morning. And it was one of those bitter cold mornings when you just walk outside the door and your skin kind of crunches up. And you walk across the frost and you can hear the frost breaking. Anyway, it was cold. I got to the gate of the fuel station and I opened it up and I heard something crashing behind me from the top of the bluff. And I thought maybe a limestone boulder had broken off and it was coming down. But it was a buck and it was coming straight down the bluff. And it was rutting season and it was coming straight for me. And I couldn't do anything. I just stood there watching it. It was magnificent. And finally I got to the point where I was starting to get a little worried. But then it got about 50 feet away from me and it kind of just veered off a little bit and I could tell that it wasn't coming at me. It was actually trying to get down the driveway that went to my fuel station, which was along the river. So I stood still and it came by me and about 10 feet away it rose up and it jumped like deer jump, a perfect arch, and it jumped over the gate. And I looked at his eye, and he looked at me, and I don't know if I registered or not, but it was one of the closest events I had ever come to a deer like that. And he was determined to get where he was going. I mean, he must have smelled something. So I thought to myself, wow, that was really cool. A nice close contact with a deer. Then I thought, what's he going to do when he gets to the river? So I opened up the gate, jumped in my pickup truck, went down there to see what was happening. And he had already left the shoreline. He was about 10 feet into the river and motoring. You know, deer don't swim very fast, but they're strong swimmers. The Illinois River is about a quarter of a mile wide at the point. So I thought I'd just watch him for a while. And the sun was coming up in the east and everything was nice. It was cold, it was quiet, dead quiet. And I watched him for a while and thinking about how nice it was to be able to witness that. And then I started seeing this dark shape coming into my view from my left. And it was unloaded tow of barges coming upstream. And they're quiet. They don't always make a lot of noise when they do that. And all of a sudden it became apparent that the deer and the barge were going to meet. And I thought, oh my gosh, do I want to stay here and watch this? Because here's that magnificent deer, and he's going to be run over by the tow. And sure enough, I could do nothing. I was all alone. All I could do was just watch it all play out. And when the barge got about 30 or 40 feet away from the deer, when its shadow started crossing the deer's path, the buck understood where it was and how the barge was coming at him, and he panicked, and his eyes got huge, and he started trying to jump out of the water. But there was nothing I could do. Obviously, the towboat driver had no idea that the deer was there. And about 30 seconds later, the front of the barge just really slowly moved on over the deer, and I was beside myself. I thought, why am I here? Why am I supposed to see this? And about 30 seconds later, there was a commotion along the side of the tow. And here's the deer. He just pops up out of the water. And he swims back to shore, and he gets to the point where he's no longer swimming, but he's walking through shallow water. He starts shaking himself off. He walks into the forest, to the edge of the forest. He's completely shaken himself off, and he looked around, and you could see the breath coming out of his nose because it was so frosty that morning. And he just kind of walked back into the forest. And I thought, here I am sitting up on shore, and I'm making a big deal out of this, and the deer doesn't care. He just survived it and moved on. So nature nature is a lot more resilient than we give it credit for.